Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, January 10th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith will be along momentarily with his computer updating, but he'll be back on in moments. And we've got with us today a special guest, unexpected, but he stepped up, volunteered to be on the show because he snowed in, couldn't get to work. Snowstorm bearing down in the Massachusetts area, keeping Mikey at home. So Mikey's with us today here on the Ice Guys show as a guest. Mikey, good to have you with us on the Friday show.
Good to be here. Freaky Friday. We'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a weird day of the week. And you're right. There's some weird results. There's things that you really like that doesn't always pan out. And then there are things that you think, hey, that's never going to happen, and it does on a Friday. Not all the time, but you're right. I do find there are more random results on a Friday than maybe certain other days of the week. And maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe it's not, but I've noticed that. About certain Fridays. We will recap Thursday, as we always do. We recap the night before. It's a huge Thursday night of action. We will begin with your Boston Bruins, Mikey. What can you say? Another loss for Boston, 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. We fall one goal short of the over, but it really never got close, quite honestly. First period was scoreless, and the full game stays under as well. And that's the first time this year that the first period over and the full game over has not cashed for the Boston Bruins off a shutout loss, but it did last night, or didn't last night, of course, with the game staying under. A 2-0 lead in the second period for Tampa. Mason Low-rise goal made it interesting, but at the end of the day, Brandon Hagel puts it away, empty net goal, and then they added one at the end with Braden Point on the power play. Thought it was better out of Tampa Bay. It was a pretty even, or out of Boston, rather. It was a pretty even game, 31-28 the shots, but the end of the day, not enough offense, not enough finish. And again, the special teams really continue to hurt the Boston Bruins. Their power play has got nothing going for it right now. Of course, they give up another power play goal. And not only is the power play not scoring for the Boston Bruins, but they give up a shorty that just gives Tampa Bay all the momentum with that very first goal, courtesy of Anthony Cirelli. A 4-1 loss there for the Boston Bruins. Mikey, you're a Bruins fan. I know Aaron in our chat, diehard Bruins fan as well. Can't be liking what he's seeing. Jimmy Murphy, our good friend of the show, has been adamant all year. This is not a Jim Montgomery problem. This is not a Joe Sacco problem. This is not a coaching issue. It's a roster issue, and there are some real problems. You can't. Pasternak's been spotty. Marchand clearly, has had a rough season by his standards. The blue line is really not playing anywhere close to the level that they've been in the past, and they miss Lindholm dearly. They get zero offense from the bottom six as well. Nothing from the third or fourth line. And then, of course, Swayman, coming off the great year last year, gets the money. It's been hit or miss this year, and Korpisalo is not a guy that can fill the void adequately when that's the case. So it's a boatload of issues, and they look slow. They look like a slow hockey team when I see them out there on the ice, and they get hemmed in like I've never seen before in their defensive zone. But, Mikey, not good times for the Bruins right now.
No, not at all. It's just been absolutely brutal this season, and then to have one win coming out of the Christmas break, and you beat Columbus on a home and home back-to-back 4-0. Since then, they've done absolutely nothing. It's just, you look at the goal differential, I think only two teams are worse than the Bruins. I mean, they're in the bottom of the barrel in all key facets: power play, PK, goals per game. It's just absolutely brutal. Like I said a second ago, Marchand was saying how they got to go back to Boston Bruins hockey, being good and being happy with winning 2-1 games. Well, yesterday they had that. Halfway through the second period, they allow a shorthanded goal. That was a backbreaker, and then minutes later to end the second period, it's 2-0, and that's all she wrote. I mean, you wouldn't think, a 2-0 lead is nothing in hockey, but with the Boston Bruins, it seems like it's insurmountable lately. Like you said, it's a roster issue. It's not Cassidy, it's not Monty, it's not Sacco. It's 100% roster issue. You have fans chanting "Fire Sweeney." I mean, we hear this several times a year for the last decade. That's nothing new, but it's just, I don't know where the answers are. I mean, all these huge off-season signings, Zadorov and all these guys, it's not panning out. That's just the bottom line. It looked good on paper in the summer, patch up a couple of things, and I thought it was going to work, but it's just not. I mean, who do we have besides Pasta? I mean, the scoring is just, I think you got 3 guys above 10 goals or 4 guys above 10 goals besides Pasta and Marshy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's just it's everything. It really, there's not one thing you can say. We're really doing it at a high level right now. Boston Bruins. Yeah, the center ice position is another issue, as Aaron says. Zaka, Lindholm, Frederick, and Cole Koepke. That's tough. That's tough right there, especially when Lindholm's not playing up to the level we know he's been at past with Carolina, Calgary, and other places. You're not getting that version of Elias Lindholm right now, the Boston Bruins. So, yeah, more issues for them. They lose 4-1. The other games last night, well, we get the first period over. Full game over still falls short, and Buffalo shutting out Ottawa 4-0 last night. Not a good performance from Ottawa. Ottawa's one of those teams, the more I watch them now, until Allmark gets back, how do you take them? How do you trust them right now? They continue to have problems winning games without their number one goalie. And look, certain teams can survive a number one goalie being out. Look at Toronto without Stolars. They've been fine. No question about that, because they've got Wool and they've got answers behind their number one goalie. Ottawa doesn't. Forsberg's a mediocre at best goalie, and then they're still too young, the other guys, Sogard and Marilainen for Ottawa. So without Allmark, they're hurting right now, and they lose 4-0 to Buffalo. Nice win for the Sabres there. Ottawa's going to be in the system play now in their next game, obviously after being a shutout last night by the Buffalo Sabres. How about the Pittsburgh 4-1 over Edmonton in the first period of that game? Of course, I was still feeling good about the Edmonton team total. I'm like, I don't give 2 shits how many goals Pittsburgh scores. Just give me 4 for Edmonton and I'll be happy. Unfortunately, they couldn't get that 4th goal. They got robbed a couple times by Nedeljkovic, so that was unfortunate. But give Pittsburgh credit. That was a brutal loss for them against Columbus, and answer back and beat Edmonton. It's a quality win. You know, Edmonton was kind of napping in the first, but like I said, you can't take that away fully from from Pittsburgh. They had a good performance there and a 5-3 win. The Dallas Stars keep on rolling. This has been a great run for the Dallas Stars. 4-1 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers last night. Nice to see Wyatt Johnston really starting to heat up. He had a nice goal last night, and a 4-1 win there for the Dallas Stars over the Philadelphia Flyers. Casey DeSmith quietly under the radar for the Dallas Stars, having a very solid season for them in a backup role, and a nice 4-1 win there for them. We saw as we continue along, Columbus 6-2 over Seattle. The woes continue for the Kraken. That game was good to me. We had the first period over, the full game over, both ends of the over by Fecta cash there. The Rangers with a 3-2 win, and of all people, Sam Carrick getting the overtime winner for the New York Rangers against the New Jersey Devils. We ended up losing on the Devils team total there in that one. Jack Hughes' goal prop did cash. He does continue to score against the Rangers, and he did so once again, but not enough for New Jersey. And give the Rangers credit. I think for them as a team, it was one of their better games I've seen in quite some time. You weren't seeing those defensive gaffes like we've seen in the past. And obviously, Shesterkin's return. Probably the time off looked like it did him well, because he was very solid in net for the Rangers last night in his return, and they get a 3-2 win there. Wild one with Toronto and Carolina. It was 2-2 after the first period, but Carolina goes on to a 6-3 victory. Look, you got to, when we've praised and just given all kinds of accolades and compliments to the Nyes, Matt Marner, and Matthews line. Well, you got to also berate them when they have a terrible night, and I think they were combined like minus 16 or something last night. It was a horrible night for that line, but give Carolina credit. They were, they played well after the first period. I thought Toronto in the first period was dominant, but once Carolina got those 2 quick goals and all that good work for Toronto to get up 2-0 and carry the play, and it went out the window as soon as Carolina tied that game, that's when the game really flipped in Carolina's favor, and they end up getting a 6-3 win over Toronto. Not one of Joe Wool's better games, and he'll tell you that. He'll be the first to tell you that. He was due probably for a stinker, a clunker by his standards. He's been so awesome since Stolars went down, but not one of his better games, and 6-3 Carolina getting the victory there in that one. How about St. Louis putting the boots to Anaheim 6-2? Clearly not thrilled with losing the back-to-back like they did. Big bounce back. I know Alex really liked the first period looks there. First period over and both teams to score, both cashing in that Ducks and Blues game. Our guy Dylan Holloway scored again for St. Louis, so 6-2 Blues. Finally, Minnesota back to earth. You can't take Faber. You can't take Brodin. You can't take Spurgeon, and you can't take Kaprizov. You can't take your best forward by far and 3 starting defensemen out, by far your best 3 starting defensemen, and expect to win against a good hockey team, especially a team coming off a loss with a point to prove like Colorado. And that's exactly what we saw last night, 6-1. Great spot to take the Avs. That should have been my best bet, honestly, because I really liked that Colorado side. It's my favorite side on the board last night, and they get the job done, 6-1 over Minnesota last night, as finally the injuries catch up to the Minnesota Wild. And I'd be leery about backing Minnesota until they get some of these guys back, because I know they've kind of overachieved with all these injuries up till this point. But like I said yesterday in the analysis of this game, I think it's just gotten to the point of too much now as far as injuries. 3 starting D, your best 3 starting D, and Kaprizov. That's just a little bit too much to overcome now, especially when you're taking on a good team. And I was leery all day of Vegas. I said that yesterday because they had a losing record against Eastern Conference teams. They've been rolling along. They're, they lost to Montreal recently, an Eastern Conference team at home. Every now and then they throw up a dud, and that's exactly what they did last night against the New York Islanders. But that's a bad loss for Vegas. I'm not panicking though. It was a dead spot, flat spot, terrible effort. They'll be fine. Credit to the Islanders for taking advantage of it. I still don't think this means the Islanders are that good, but nevertheless, I was worried all day about that Vegas situation. And like I said, Islanders to get the job done. Looks like Matty Robinson took the Islanders here. Looks like he did. Wow. Gutsy move. I think he hates Vegas. I think it's more so to do with that. He's not a big Vegas Golden Knights fan. I think he's just happy to fade them at that price. But either way, good cash. Good cash. Alex B. Smith with us now. Alex, your thoughts on Thursday?
Yeah, I think the story for me basically was 4s and 5s, right? We've had a lot of games fall on 4 or fall on 5, and that's been kind of tough if you're over players like we are. Coming up a bit short on a couple of those totals, especially that Buffalo and Ottawa game. Coming up short of that, Ottawa just another just lifeless effort getting shut out, and it's not so much that Buffalo was playing, in my opinion, an absolute 8+ game. It's just that Ottawa's just not that good of a team, and they have these flashes and moments. And I get, like I said, there's issues with goaltending. There's always some kind of an issue that they can't fight around. And when you talk about Minnesota, for example, who now hit that wall where they can't fight past the issues of all these guys getting hurt, but they were able to do it for literally 2-3 months. Ottawa's just not one of those teams, and we talk about it, right? Whenever we talk about Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, it seems like we're repeating ourselves in the same kind of vein of here we go again with this team trying to make this push, and then they fall right back, and then they get a little bit of momentum, and then they just fall right back, and it's just the same old shit with those 3 clubs. It seems like, and
it's like that old Boy
Dallas,
George song, "I'll tumble for ya, I'll tumble for ya." That's what these teams are doing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I was upset with myself yesterday. I ended up going with that Dallas Philly draw, but at the beginning of the day, I was like, man, this seems like it could be a Dallas regulation spot. And then I kind of talked myself out of that, and sure enough, Dallas goes on to win 4-1. So, I have to kind of, sometimes it's going to happen in the course of the season. You're going to have an opinion you like, and then you shift your opinion, and you realize you were right from the very beginning. So sometimes you got to follow your gut. But other than that, like I said, a lot of interesting action, a lot of like I said, different things, and a lot of high scoring games you have as well. Like I said, with of course Colorado, Minnesota, Anaheim, St. Louis. Happy to get that first period over, and both teams to score. That was a sweat actually, because it was 4 goals for St. Louis in the first, and then that 1 goal coming in with Anaheim. So it was nice to catch that double. But on to tonight we go.
On tonight we go. Mikey, anything other than the Bruins game that you wanted to mention from last night?
No, you guys were good. We can go ahead.
All right, let's move along. We got a Friday card, 5 games. Not bad for a Friday night. Not bad at all. And we'll begin with actually a really good game because of the way the road team is playing going into this game. That would be the surging Montreal Canadiens as they take on the Washington Capitals. We've got Washington -210, home favorites. The total here sitting at 6, shaded to the over. I'm loving me some Capitals this year and the way they've played. And Carberry, like I said, give him the Jack Adams Award right now for getting something good out of Pierre-Luc Dubois with incredible 14 points or something in his last 16, 17. He's been terrific for this Washington team, and the Capitals continue to play some really, really good hockey. That being said, I think there's value tonight and a scary spot here against a Montreal team playing well with this youngster, this Jakob Dobish, who is going to get the start here, who's undefeated, by the way, 2-0 in his previous 2 starts for the Montreal Canadiens. And it's not just that they've won the starts with Dobish in net. He's played very well in the games as well. Very well, in fact. So it's a dangerous game for the Washington Capitals here. They're playing well, obviously. They bounced back from the 4-3 shootout loss to Buffalo with a 2-1 win against Vancouver in overtime. We were on the draw in that game, which was good to see. You look at this matchup. Yes, Washington has won 3 straight over the Montreal Canadiens, including both meetings earlier this year. October, when they were off to that flaming red-hot start, they beat Montreal 6-3 at home. In December, they had a 4-2 road win in Montreal. So they've got 3 wins in a row against the Montreal Canadiens. But Montreal was able to beat Washington here last year in one of the games 5-2. I definitely think there's value in this price here with Montreal. I'm taking the Habs here in this spot. Les Habitants at upwards of plus 190. We're at this time of year now where Washington, as great as they've been, they're not going to be from October to January 10th, 27-10-4, the record. So they're exactly at 41 games played. They will not be as good as 27-10-4 in the next 41 games. They're still going to be good, still going to be they're not going to be that good. They're not going to be at that kind of pace, that kind of clip. If they are at that kind of clip the rest of the season, salute. Great job. I'll tip my cap to them, but it's just too damn difficult, this sport, with the physical and mental toll it takes through 82-game schedule to be 27-10-4 in back-to-back 41-game swatches. That's the way I see it here for Washington. There's going to be a little bit of a, not regression, but it's going to be hard to just maintain that kind of a win percentage the rest of the way. So I just feel with the way Montreal, this young group's playing, finding ways to, and the fact that Montreal consistently of late has played well against the better teams, Florida, Tampa, Vegas, Colorado, 4 of these last 5 wins have come against some excellent hockey teams for the Montreal Canadiens. And even the Vancouver win, the team that was in the playoffs in the second round last year, beating the Canucks. So I think it's a live underdog spot for Montreal, particularly tonight, plus 180. Maybe a sprinkle with team total over 2.5 as well, which I like to do with the bigger dogs, do a money line team total split. Here's the thing with the first period over. I like it a little bit. We'll see. Full game over, not so much. Washington's also going to have to do a better job generating offense because, that Vancouver game, to get less than 20 shots was not pretty for the Washington Capitals in that game, but they escaped with the overtime win. I thought their goaltending from Thompson in that game. And that's another thing that kind of has me on Montreal here too, guys. Just from watching the 2 goalies lately for Washington, I've got the arrow pointing up on Logan Thompson. I think he's played pretty well. The arrow's starting to point down a little bit on Charlie Lindgren. I don't think Charlie Lindgren's been nearly as sharp, nearly as effective in his recent starts for the Capitals. I know here he's going up against his former organization, started his career with Montreal, but he's now given up 3 goals or more in 4 straight starts after being a guy that was, in the 1s and the 2s early in the season in terms of goals against per game. You're starting to see him give up 3-4 now in recent games. So I think it's a live dog spot here, Montreal, and I'll split it with the first period or with the team total and the money line. And I like the first period over a little bit as well. Alex, what do you think here? Habs, Caps?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Habs here as a live dog. He said, it's just, he says not necessarily that the Caps are in bad form or that they're going to hit a wall, but they said losses are due to come. We talk about this all the time when we have teams that are losing at the beginning of the year. Wins are going to come. There's always that balance out, and I think Washington. This is one of those spots where they kind of due to have a loss and kind of could be caught in a balance out kind of a spot because the Habs have played well. Dobish has done very well, but I like the over for that reason too. I don't know how long Dobish is going to continue looking like the second coming of Patrick Roy. So I do think we could see some goals here. So I like the over by fact as well. I'll be playing that a little bit smaller, but I grabbed Habs plus 188 available at FanDuel.
Yeah, no question. And by the way, I think we're starting to see with Washington too, one of these patterns where under and then over, under and then over. It's been a lot of their patterns lately. When they have an under, they have an over the next game. It's been a while since they've had consecutive unders, Washington. What do you think here, Mikey? Montreal, Washington.
Yeah, so my first thought besides the over 6 in this one is Washington, they seem a bit inflated price-wise in this one. I know they beat, like you said, they beat Montreal twice this season by a combined score of 10-5, but Habs are playing good hockey and they're getting good goaltending. They have Jakob Dabas between the pipes. This kid has allowed 1 goal in 2 starts, and it came on the road in Colorado, in Florida. Not easy games. He's proven so far that in a very short sample size that he can steal a game or two. I've been impressed with Montreal. I think Laine was a shot in the arm for them. I know he's got the flu. He's not playing tonight, but what's topped Laine is the Carrier signing. I mean, I think he's brought a stability and a veteran presence to the very young blue line besides Matheson. All the other guys, 22, 23 years old, they're young bucks for the blue line. Montreal is just looking good. They've been winning in different ways. They've been beating you 5-4. They can beat you 2-1. Huge wins on the road, Florida, Tampa, Vegas, Colorado. Here's the concern. They came home for a game, beat Vancouver in overtime. They beat Vancouver in overtime after they were down 3-1 halfway through the game. But now they just got back from a 6-game road trip out west. They come home for a game, back on the road tonight, back home tomorrow, then back out west again. It's just weird scheduling. I know they just had 3 days off, but it's a lot of miles logged in for Montreal the last 10 to 14 days. Meanwhile, you have a Washington team. They've been alternating wins and losses the last 9 games. They haven't won 2 in a row in almost 3 weeks. So Montreal averaging 3.3 goals per game since the month of December. Like you said, Lindgren, he's allowed 3 or more in 5 out of the last 6. Montreal's team total is only $1.10 right now, over 2.5 at $1.10. So I am taking a shot with the Montreal money line, and I'm on the over 6.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. As far as props for this game, I'm going back to the well with Protas. He had a couple chances the other night. He had been scoring pretty well lately. He's still with Stroman, Ovechkin, McMichael, Dubois, and Wilson. You can't argue with any of those 3 guys, as far as being able to score lately for the Washington Capitals. I think PLD, red hot, and he obviously had the great performance against Vancouver. But, this is childhood team, if I'm not mistaken. He grew up a Habs fan. There was talk for a while when he was getting moved around that Montreal would be a place he'd want to play. So, he'll probably get fired up to play against the Montreal Canadiens tonight. So could be looking in his direction as well for a goal prop tonight. On the Montreal Canadiens side, Emil Heineman, I still think, this guy's getting good opportunity. Kirby Dach's been better lately. Those would be some of the goal props. Obviously Caulfield's been on fire, but you're not getting value. You're not getting obviously the great value, I should say, with Cole Caulfield, even though he's been absolutely magnificent. I do want to mention, forgot to mention on this game, I'm also on the draw. Have to be. I mean, you've got both of these teams kind of trending in the draw way of, Washington's now gone to overtime in 2 straight games. Montreal, I could see this being a close game once again. So I think the draw is worth a look. It's funny because in this game, I like a underdog money line team total split, and I like the draw. I kind of feel that way about this next game, Vancouver and Carolina. We've got Carolina minus 180 home favorites, 6 the total. Back-to-back for Carolina. Obviously, nice win for them, 6-3 against Toronto, following the 3-2 loss to Tampa Bay. But now they're going back-to-back. Vancouver off since Wednesday night with that real tough 2-1 loss to Washington because they deserved a better fate. They played a really good game that night. And unfortunately, they are a team that struggled, obviously, to finish, other than the 1 goal that Connor Garland scored on the power play at the end of the second period. They had their chances, they had their shots, but just weren't able to finish those chances. Now you catch Carolina here back to back. We know Carolina hasn't had a very long extended winning streak. Maybe they're due for one. So maybe they put another nice win together on a back-to-back here against a kind of a struggling Vancouver team, still without Pettersson, still without Aronik, but they did get Quinn Hughes back a couple of games ago. And even in the 2 games they lost to Montreal and Washington, you can see the difference that having, Quinn Hughes back in the lineup makes for them. I just think, again, kind of like I feel with Washington versus Montreal, they're priced a little bit higher, Carolina here, than maybe they should be, for a team that's only 500 in their last 10 games, 5-5, and it's not like they've been totally devoid of losing at home. Minnesota shut them out here, which was missing some key pieces in that game against Carolina. Just still a little too inconsistent for my liking. And then throw in the fact that it's probably a Dustin Tokarski night for Carolina in net after Kochetkov got the start last night against Toronto. And he's okay, but he's been mostly an American Hockey League goalie for the last several years. Obviously, he had those stints early in his career with Montreal, with Pittsburgh briefly, with Buffalo for a bit, but mostly an American League goalie these last several years. He has allowed 9 goals in the last 3 starts he's made. We'll see how he fares here in this one against Vancouver, but it is a drop-off clearly from Kochetkov. In the Vancouver side of the net, it looks like last I checked now, we know Demko didn't start the other night, but he is back tonight and will get the start for the Vancouver Canucks here in this game. I just feel good about Vancouver team total over 2.5. And it's a cheap -120. Vancouver money line at +150, I think, worth a shot. And the draw again, because of the fact Vancouver's been a draw machine. The last 10 games, 6 of them have gone to overtime or a shootout. 6 of the last 10 Vancouver games have gone past regulation. Carolina's gone to overtime or shootout 2 of the last 6. Head-to-head, the game in Vancouver last year was 4-3 Carolina. It went to overtime. The game in Carolina was a 3-2 Vancouver win. Didn't go to overtime, but it nearly did. And we've had 1-goal games between these 2 teams in 5 straight meetings. So games that came very close to going to overtime. So just like with the first game, dog team total, dog's money line, dog team total over, and the draw. I like all 3 here with Canucks and Hurricanes. Alex, what do you think here, Vancouver, Carolina?
Yeah, this is my favorite draw play of the night. And like you said, even with the goalies projected, I do believe this could be a game that goes back and forth. I would lean with that over as well, but I like to draw the most out of anything here. So I got +333 at BetMGM. That's the best price seems to be available. Rolling with that, like I said, that's just almost an automatic bet the way that Vancouver's been playing of late.
Yeah, I mean, 6 of 10 for Vancouver have gone past regulation here in the last 10 games. And by the way, Vancouver's had success here in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Lenovo Center the last 2 years. They won 3-2 here last year, and they won 4-3 in a shootout the year before here in Carolina. And obviously they scored 3 goals or more in both games. So it lines up nicely, in my opinion, for the Vancouver side of it, money line and team total. Mikey, what are you thinking here? Canucks, Hurricanes.
Yeah, we have a good road team in Vancouver and a good home team in Carolina, so we'll see what gives tonight. I know Vancouver hasn't looked great, 3-game losing streak, and the only wins they've had in the last 10 games came against San Jose and Seattle twice, but they usually keep it close when they lose. Lots of overtime losses, lots of 1-goal losses. They don't really get blown out. I know Preds won 3-0 against them, but that was more of an anomaly with Vancouver. They're going to be the more urgent team tonight, and they get Carolina at the back end of a back-to-back. Awful win, and like you said, Tokarski in net. Prior to Carolina beating Vancouver in overtime back in October, Vancouver did beat Carolina 3 straight times. Carolina, not consistent as far as wins are coming. Carolina hasn't recorded 2 wins in a row since mid-December, so we're going on almost a month now. Also, Vancouver, they've nipped it in the butt. They have yet to lose 4 in a row all season. They've nipped it in the butt twice this year when they're on a 3-game skid, and I think they have a very good chance at doing it tonight. So first period, Vancouver, full game money line on Vancouver, and that's all I got on that one.
Again, with these dogs, it's not, we know Vancouver's right now inferior to Carolina, and overall Montreal is still inferior to Washington. We just feel current form, especially with the Montreal game, they're playing better than that price indicates. Washington has leveled off a bit, and more so just the fact you've got the rest advantage for Vancouver, Carolina on a back-to-back, albeit no travel, and with the backup goalie who is, say what you will about Kochetkov, hasn't been great at times, as good as I thought. I thought he played really well once Carolina got the lead last night. It was a really good stretch of goaltending Kochetkov had in the second and third period last night. It's still a drop-off from him to Dustin Tokarski, likely to get the start here for Carolina. So like I said, I think it adds up that Vancouver's at least live in this game here tonight. And then just as far as props briefly on this game, Eric Robinson, bad run, finally scores. He's on the second line. I could see maybe getting on a run for Carolina. Roslovic Jarvis with Aho, maybe worth a look for Vancouver. Connor Garland, Suter. I think Lekaramaki might still be worth a look because he's getting opportunity with Miller and Besser. Jonathan Lekaramaki had a bunch of chances against Washington, and the puck just didn't go in. So that young Swede there, Jonathan Lekaramaki, keep an eye on him. Probably worth a look here tonight. Chicago and Detroit, original 6 rivalry from back in the day. Now we've got the Red Wings minus 180 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I don't think we have to guess what Alex will mention that he likes because I like it. We're aware of it. 8-game now, first period over streak for the Chicago Blackhawks. So clearly we like the first period over here in this game. Even though the Red Wings now 2 games in a row for them have not gone over in the first period after I think was 3 in a row to start the McClellan era, went over in the first period. It's now 3-2 and 4-1 for the overs since McClellan's been there with the Detroit Red Wings. But the first period over, you just got to rock with it. It's now 1 in 8 straight Chicago games. So I do like that first period over, certainly more so than the full game over in this game. I've had my fun betting on Detroit. I was on Detroit money line again versus Ottawa the other night. They got the job done, but now we're at a range where I'm not interested in Detroit. I've cashed a handful of games in a row with the Red Wings, riding them, the better energy they're playing with, the better, defensive structure they're playing. Just overall, their team game has been so much better since Todd McClellan's been there. They lost the very first game when he just got there and introduced himself to the team the day of the game against Toronto. That was the only loss, and they've ripped off 5 wins in a row since then. The grand $1 million question is, can Chicago finally withstand prosperity? Because here we were after the Montreal win saying, can they build on it? And they just laid an egg against the Rangers. And here we are after snapping the national TV losing streak and beating a solid Colorado team 3-1. Can they build on it? Can they friggin' put 2 good, competent hockey games together? The Chicago Blackhawks. That is going to be the challenge for them tonight against Detroit. Not something I'm willing to bet on, that's for sure. Definitely not willing to fade Detroit. But now we're talking minus 180, and now we're talking a price point that I'm not exactly excited about betting Detroit. So first period over, my primary pregame bet here. Alex, what do you think? Blackhawks, Red Wings.
Yeah, you can't bet the Hawks sidewise. I mean, and I would lean that way even with Detroit on this streak. But like I said, you just can't do it. And I was just kind of looking back and seeing, the Hawks' record where if they had a win on the at home and then went on the road, they've lost every game this year. So only going with that first period over, as you mentioned, 8 straight for the Hawks, 10-1 the last 11. And with Detroit, for those of you who follow, especially with Chris Otto's charts, the goal in the first 10 minutes, Detroit was on a 10-1 run to that mark too. So that's another reason that really supports this first period over. I got minus $1.20 at Bet Online this morning. There's still some 25s and 30s available. Anything higher than $1.30, I would suggest to wait in game. No, both teams to score, not getting fancy with the 1-1 tie, just going with first period over.
Yeah. And Peter Mrazek, can he build on it? That was a terrific performance from him against Colorado. 35 saves. He was stellar. It was his best game in several because he's really not played all that well of late until that Colorado win the other night. And he is playing against his old team, one of his old teams, the Detroit Red Wings. So certainly will be pumped up, I'm sure, back in Detroit to play well. That's why I think this game, I expect to see the 2 goals in the first, but it could slow down after that. Very real possibility. Look at Colorado-Chicago as a perfect example. You got the first period goals you needed for the first period over, but it stayed under for the full game. This could be one of those games. Talbot's another mystery too. Who knows what you're going to get from Cam Talbot in net for Detroit one game to the next. And, of course, he's in because Alex Lyon is on the injured list and won't be available tonight. So it's Cam Talbot for Detroit, and it'll be Ville Husso backing up Cam Talbot for the Red Wings here tonight. I'll get to some props. I do like a lot of props in this game. I'll get to those in a few moments. But, Mikey, first to you. What do you think here in this original 6 battle, Chicago, Detroit?
Yeah. two of the best jerseys in the game. I do see your
Oh,
point with Detroit getting up there in price, but I'm on them -1, and here's why. 5-1 since McLennan took over. They're averaging 3.6 goals per game since he took over behind the bench. I'd say Detroit's had a fair opponent schedule. Hasn't been too easy, hasn't been too hard. They don't really blow teams out, but I can see a 4-2 type win here for Detroit. Here's the deal. Detroit's creeping up on a wild card spot, only 4 points out. But more importantly, they're 18-18 on the season. A win tonight puts them above 500, something that hasn't happened since October 24th when they held a 4-3 record. This is a bit of an important stretch, a 3-game stretch for Detroit to accumulate points. They have the Hawks tonight at home, then the Kraken and the Sharks. They'll want to get at least 4 if not 6 points in these next 3 games because the schedule is going to get pretty tough for the end of January. They head to Florida to play the Panthers and Lightning. Then they got Dallas, Philly, Montreal, Tampa Bay again, Edmonton, and the Kings. So they know they need to take advantage of the schedule, and I think they get it done here. Nothing against Chicago, no disrespect to them. It's just hard to figure out when the offense will get going or if they'll play a complete game or just get embarrassed. They'll beat the Avs, but then they'll get hammered by the Sabres. It's just a hard team to read sometimes. Like you said, Mrazek, former team. Listen, still in .880 save percentage against Detroit. He hasn't been with them in a while, so I'm not too concerned about that. I do love a Kane DeBrincat point parlay. You can get that at +140. Both have.
Wouldn't shock me if they both score tonight either.
Yes.
Quite honestly,
Yep. Both have 8 points since McLennan took over, and Kane he's a little bit of a resurgence under Todd McLennan. 8 points, like I just said, during this winning streak. One thing Kane said about Todd McLennan when he was asked about him.
4 goals in his last 5 games for
Yes.
Kane. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
4 goals in the last 5 games. He said about McLennan that he gave this team confidence, which I thought was an interesting word choice because it's certainly true. They did not look this confident under Lalonde, and it seems like we've been waiting a year or two for Detroit to look like this. So I love Detroit -1, and I love that Kane DeBrincat point parlay, anytime goal, however you want to take them.
Yeah, this has been a bad 2 weeks for Derek Lalonde, quite honestly, because we see in 6 games with Detroit. It looks like now under Todd McLellan here since he's taken over, and Todd McLellan is a very good coach. Let's be honest. He was always he did a good job in LA. I know the playoffs were kind of disappointing, and obviously he was with Edmonton before that. And he's been around the block. He's seen it all, and he's pushing the right buttons right now. You didn't see Patrick Kane play like this down the stretch with Derek Lalonde. Look at what he's doing lately. And DeBrincat, is revitalized. And all of a sudden, you're getting, other players that had kind of disappeared for Detroit, earlier this season under Lalonde. You're seeing new life out of them here now with Detroit since he's been there. So, like I said, it's been a nice bounce back. As far as props go, let's start with Chicago. Mikheyev has been, he's with Bedard. He's scored against Colorado. I don't mind looking in his direction. I like, first of all, Tyler Bertuzzi heating up and against one of his former teams, the Detroit Red Wings. So I think it's a good Tyler Bertuzzi kind of night. The captain, Nick Foligno, I think worth a look. And for Bertuzzi, 4 goals in the last 6 games for him, as I mentioned. Foligno, might be worth a look as well here in this one. Those are some props I'm interested in goal scoring wise for the Chicago Blackhawks. For Detroit, I think when you look at this game, I was going to say Veleno because Veleno has started to be noticeable again for the Detroit Red Wings. He scored in overtime against Ottawa, but it looks like he's back on the 4th line. I'd still maybe sprinkle a couple bucks on him. Berggren, Kane, DeBrincat, Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin, of course, have been really good lately as well, scoring wise under McLellan. You know what Todd McLellan has really made a difference in too? The power play. You look at Detroit's power play now, they're humming that puck along. They're making good reads. They're moving the puck quickly. They're getting the penalty killers off balance, moving the puck before they can set up the box. It's just stuff that is different, has been better since Todd McLellan's been there, and the power play has improved for sure, no doubt. So, and Marco Kasper, keep an eye on him. Maybe worth a small flyer for Detroit. It looks like he might be skating with Larkin tonight on the top line for the Detroit Red Wings with Raymond and Larkin, Marco Kasper. So for that reason, there could be some value here with Marco Kasper. No, there isn't, could be some value. It's just a question of does he score? There's definitely value, but it doesn't mean he's going to score. But there's certainly value. If he's on the top line, you're getting him at plus 550. There's definitely value for Marco Kasper here tonight for the Detroit Red Wings in this game. All right, next up, we've got Los Angeles and Winnipeg, Kings and Jets. We've got Winnipeg -1. Wow, down to even money now with Winnipeg here in this game and the total 6. I think that's Eric Comrie related because I believe he has been confirmed in net for the Winnipeg Jets. And I know the betting markets are sour on Comrie. They don't trust him anywhere close, obviously, to Connor Hellebuck. And he has lost. I'm going back and looking now with Eric Comrie. Wow, he 1, 2, 3, 4. He has lost 4 straight starts going into this one for the Winnipeg Jets. That being said, only in one of those starts did he give up 4 goals. The other ones he gave up 3. It's not like he's been terrible, but they just haven't been winning consistently with him. That's the question. I don't know what to expect from LA. If this was Hellebuck, I'll tell you what right now. If Hellebuck was in net, I would have been on Winnipeg here because I'm not. First of all, you got LA away from Crypto Arena, and obviously now, who knows where they're at mentally? I mean, the wildfire situation there, catastrophic, horrifying. They call LA home. Adrian Kempe, Anze Kopitar, all these years calling LA home during the NHL season. Got to be some sort of distraction. There's no doubt. I was lined up to really like Winnipeg in this game and in this spot with Hellebuck. Now with Comrie, I got to admit, I'm a little gun shy now. But I don't want the Kings. I'm not betting the Kings here in this spot. I have no idea what to expect from them. And I don't like them as much on the road. We've talked about that with LA. This year, the home cooking has been what's getting it done for them. 15-4-2. Actually, their road record is still pretty solid here, the LA Kings, as far as their road record. But the home record is what's been phenomenal for them. I just don't know what to expect. And if anything, now that it's even with Comrie and net, this is a real cheap price and offering you're getting with Winnipeg, at home. So I'm still leaning to the home team here, the Jets. But I will admit I'm taken off this a little bit by the fact Eric Comrie on a 4-start losing streak, is now in net. But I don't want LA. I was lined up to bet Winnipeg in this game and in this spot from that standpoint. So, so it's going to be interesting to see. That's a good point because Jonathan's right there on the scene. That's right. Jonathan, of course, based in the West Coast. The players all live near me in the Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach area, far away from the fires. Yes, that is true. Thank goodness for them and their families. There's no doubt. Certainly, though, there's going to be a little bit of a mind still on what's going on back home, I'm sure. Again, how does that impact playing a hockey game? We'll see. Like I said, I was definitely going to be on Winnipeg initially. Now I'm kind of, probably not going to be on it. Yeah, and now 0-6 for Comrie in his last 6 starts. It goes back further, so hard to bet on that, quite honestly. Alex, what do you think here? Kings, Jets.
I like the Kings in this spot. I think between the fact that, like you said, they had a winning streak before now having to go on the road and obviously needing to go on the road with all that's going on in the LA area with the fires. I think this would be a bit of a motivational spot now. And I think that time goes on, that may not be the case. But I think in this particular game, and you're getting a backup in Comrie who has been a bum. Okay, like I've told you guys this for the last 3 years now. Harry Comrie is not that good.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, and so yeah, just cheap of a price here with LA. I'm gonna and the King. And here's the thing: the Jets and Arneal. The reason why Eric Comrie is getting this start, they wanted to give him a start at home and give Hellebuck the start going up against Colorado, the more important game. So I think this might be a little bit of a look ahead. Give me LA here. I got minus $1.05 to $1.10. I'm seeing anywhere in that range. I'm going with the Kings here.
All right, like in LA. And that's the other way you could look at it. Could look at it as distraction. They're on the road where they've been weaker this year. And you could look at it as, wow, galvanizing now. Just, let's get on the road. Let's just focus on playing hockey, playing a good game, playing a really good Winnipeg Jets team. And they did beat Winnipeg recently. Actually, it was a really good performance by LA. They beat the Winnipeg Jets at home recently. No, actually, it wasn't recently. It was back in November, 4-1. And I believe it was Hellebuck that night, too. They didn't face Comrie that night. It was Hellebuck, and they got a nice 4-1 win at home against the Winnipeg Jets. We'll see if they can carry that over here. And they are 4-2 in the last 6 meetings overall, LA versus Winnipeg. We'll see if they can build on that and get another win against them here tonight. Mikey, what do you think, LA, Winnipeg?
Yeah, I don't have much in this one. I agree with both of what you guys were saying. LA's been off for 5 days, so I'm not sure where the mindset is at with them, with what's happening back in Cali. Like the guy said in the group chat, a lot of Anaheim and LA Kings players, they usually live in places like Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach.
Yep.
I know the guy in the chat said that they're pretty far away from that. He's right. It's 20 miles away from where the fires are at in the Pacific Palisades. I spent some time
that
in LA.
Pacific Palisades area has been decimated by these fires, and now Hollywood Hills had a fire roaring through there last night too. A new one that erupted. Yeah, terrible.
Yep. So it's about 20 miles away. So it's not close, but there's an air quality alert that they have to check on a constant basis. That's why the Rams are doing that with their practices, indoors, outdoors, whatever that may be. So it is still concerning. There's people now finding out that their home insurance is not covering fires, and it's getting canceled weeks before. So who knows what's happening with these LA Kings and Anaheim players. I do think it's going to be in the back of their mind. So it is a concern. I don't have anything on this one. Even if that wasn't happening back in LA, this just seems like a toss-up game in my opinion, and the odds indicate that. I think they're both at $1.10. But I'm looking forward to January 20th when LA comes back home after this long road trip and they face the Penguins. So that's going to be a great spot to take them in.
Yeah, no doubt. I do like the former Kings that now play for the Winnipeg Jets as far as goal props tonight. And, of course, I'm talking about Gabe Vilardi, who's on fire right now. I shouldn't say that's bad. I got to get that. It's such a go-to term for me. Given what's going on with LA, that's a bad term to use. He's playing well right now. He's on a great streak right now. There we go. Let's get the proper etiquette with what language we use, given the situation going on with LA. But yes, Gabe Vilardi has been great of late, and I would take a shot with Iafallo tonight for the Winnipeg Jets as well, down on that third line, former member of the LA Kings as well. It's crazy how it's not like Iafallo has been terrific offensively lately, but I could see it tonight against his old mates. Maybe being able to chip in, find the back of the net here in this game. And like I said, we expect it to be, I think, Darcy Kemper here for the LA Kings tonight as well, being in net tonight, but it hasn't been confirmed there yet for them. But those are a couple of props I'm interested in here for Winnipeg, for LA. Alex Turcotte, I've been waiting on Alex Turcotte here offensively to chip in a little bit. And I know he still hasn't been scoring, but now the points are starting to come. He's at least got 2 assists in the last 3 games for LA, playing up there with Kopitar and Kempe. And when I start to see the assists start to appear on the score sheet, sometimes it's just a matter of time for the goals maybe to start coming. So I still think you stick with it when it comes to Alex Turcotte. And eventually you bet a goal prop with him. I think you're going to get rewarded as long as he stays up on that top line. Fogle, we've talked about him, the Fogue Daddy. He's probably someone that might be worth a look as well. I've liked his game of late for the LA Kings. All right, we've got our final game now of this Friday NHL slate. Next up, San Jose and Utah. We've got the Utah Hockey Club minus 280. Huge home favorites here in this game, and the total sitting at 6 across the board going into this matchup. Obviously, look, we've talked about it with Utah. This team hasn't played very good hockey on home ice. And that's not San Jose State. That's the San Jose Sharks there. I'm sorry about that. Got college sports on the brain for a minute. There we go. San Jose Sharks. There we go. Utah Hockey Club. Look, Utah's been terrible at the Delta Center. We've talked about this. I took Florida the other night against them at home with Utah at home, and they lost another home game. They've now lost, I believe, 4 or 5 home games in a row. They got a 5-12 home record overall this year, Utah. But if there's ever a spot to win one, you would think it's going to be tonight. And I'm amazed at how I posted and I think Jonathan's the one that discovered this. So he's the guy that should get credit for it. But Georgiev, the stat and I just posted it on Twitter X and I think we do have to correct something. I think I posted it as 120-4 for teams with Georgiev and net in the first period this season. I think it's 119-3 is the 100% accurate record. But it's still just as bad almost. 120-4 is bad. 119-3 is just as bad. But either way, it's terrible. Teams with Georgiev and net have won just 1 first period all year in 24-25 games. Absolute terrible as far as I'm concerned. that is. That's such a bad stat, and it's been such a dominant stat and I was on it with the Vegas game the other night, the Vegas Golden Knights against San Jose, where I said, you know what, we're going to have to start riding this just game in and game out. When you see that guy in net confirmed, you got to just roll with it. And that's the opponent of San Jose when Georgiev is in net, first period puck line, and first period team total over. You got to roll with both of those bets until you see these results change. And sure enough, down 2-0 in a blink of an eye they were the other night, San Jose, with Georgiev in net against Vegas. And it was an easy winner with both of them. First period puck line, first period team total. So guess what we're doing tonight with San Jose, Utah? Yeah, you guessed it. Utah first period puck line, -0.5, +122 is the price on that. And again, shop around. I always suggest BetMGM as your go-to source for the period team totals. It's by far, I think, the best book for period-by-period team totals if you're wagering in that market, because I think you get the half-goal increments, which is great. And in this game, in the first period of it, you can get Utah here with the first period team total. Again, you can get good prices on both of these here in this one. And again, you're talking like over 1 at like +100, -110. And you could even sprinkle over 1.5 with the Utah team total, at an even better price. So like I said, over 1 -105 is what I'm seeing at BetMGM for the Utah first period team total. And if you want to be, go for that bigger plus money, that plus price, you could go with the 1.5 team total for Utah in the first period, which is +195. So I'm going to go right back to the well with those tonight, just like with the Vegas San Jose game. This has just been incredible. This 1 win and 19 losses and 3 pushes for teams with Georgiev and net in the first period. We're going to jump on it again tonight. Utah first period puck line, -0.5, +122. And I'll do a split with Utah team total over 1, -105, and the 1.5 for the first period team total for Utah at +195. Just ride this thing until the wheels fall off, as far as I'm concerned. Alex, what do you think here, San Jose, Utah?
I got 2 bets in the first as well, but I'm doing it a little different. I'm going first period over 1.5, land the 130 there, along with that Utah that 1.5 on the puck line in the first period. Like I said, that's a trend we just have to keep on riding right now. And like I said, just everything that's correlated along with it. So I'm going first period over, as opposed to, like I said, just necessarily going with that over 1 or 1.5 on the team totals. But those are all good looks.
Yep. It's a pretty crazy stat. It's one of the damnedest. I've said it all along about this Georgiev first period stuff. It's one of the damnedest things I've ever seen, really. That you could be that bad in the first period just with one particular starting goalie in net. And it tells you how tough a season he's had, and it tells you how tough a run dating back to the end of his tenure in Colorado it's been last year, too, with Georgiev for Colorado. I'd be interested to know what the hell the first period record was with him last year. I don't think it was this bad, but my goodness, this year it's been just absolutely awful. But you know what? When you're goaltending, when he struggles to make the key saves, and that's always been the issue, it's difficult. And the teams, not playing with the confidence because they're kind of worried about what they're going to get from the goalie. That's how you end up falling behind consistently and over again with the same guy in net. When you have very little confidence in him, that's what's going to happen. You're going to play like it, and you're going to fall behind early in games. And that's why this record has been so bad for teams with Georgiev and net in the first period. Mikey, what do you think here? San Jose, Utah.
Yeah, I really wish Askarov was in net because -280 on Utah is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm on the over 6. I'm not super confident about it because both teams are trending under lately. Sharks haven't had a game go over 6 since coming back from Christmas break. Utah has only seen a game go over 6 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Both clubs struggling to win and struggling to score. I do think that changes tonight. These teams played twice already this year. Their games are averaging 8 goals per game. So it is there's some books that dropped it to 5.5. I'm really not sure why, but we have Georgiev, like you said, confirmed for San Jose since they play again tomorrow. Vejmelka in for Utah. He never seems to get a game off. So, I got to take a shot with the over 6. Do they know the stat on the puck line in the first period with Georgiev and that, or is it just the money line? Because I'm curious what the puck line results are.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Well, obviously they've had the 1 win and they've had the 3 pushes. So that's 4 out, and then the 20 losses. So it's basically 20-4 first period puck line is catched for the team, for the opponent facing Georgiev. Yeah, that's where we're at. Because obviously if they won the first period, you wouldn't be winning the puck line with the opponent, and the pushes, you wouldn't be winning it because it would be tied when you're laying a half a goal. So it's 20-4 for the first period puck line of the opponent this year against Alexander Georgiev. So there you go. That's I'll take those odds on my side. Those percentages, I should say, on my side. So yeah, Vejmelka's been really solid. I thought Vejmelka, even in a losing cause against Florida, I thought he played okay, and he's certainly been solid of late. We'll see how he fares here tonight for Utah in this game. But like I said, we're going to ride this Georgiev first period streak until we see basically the evidence prove otherwise. As far as props for this game, yeah, Logan Cooley's a good, certainly been one of the more consistent forces lately for the Utah Hockey Club, a team that's been kind of start and stop lately offensively. So wouldn't have any issues with that. I would still say, look toward maybe a Colin. Colin Graff does have some assists. I think it's only a matter of time that maybe he finds the back of the net here for San Jose, given the opportunity that he's got in the lineup. So keep an eye on that. Maybe interested for a Colin Graff goal prop tonight, possibly here for San Jose in this game as well. I'm just trying to see who's up on the top line. They've got Zetterlund, Granlund, and Eklund still on the top line for them. Someone as well that's kind of, stepped up a little bit at times for San Jose lately as well. Offensively, you could be looking in that direction. The old man, Tyler Toffoli. We'll see how he fares here tonight, but certainly he's got a couple of goals here in the last 5 or 6 games as well. So there's a couple props I'd consider keep my eye on. Yes, Josh Doan recalled from the AHL, and Josh Doan on the second line with Hayton and Michelli. So I like Cooley tonight. Certainly Dylan Gunther being out has hurt this team offensively. He is confirmed out tonight, but Josh Doan back up and getting, a second line opportunity. He had 8 goals, 21 points in 25 games in the American League before this call up back to the Utah Hockey Club. So I would say that probably Josh Doan's worth a shot tonight, especially at the price you're going to be able to get him. And he's going to be on the second line, so Andre Tourigny is going to give him an opportunity here in a top 6 role. Plus 400 I'm seeing with Josh Doan. Not bad at all. Jonathan's mentioning Zetterlund's had good success against Utah and Vejmelka, and you can get Zetterlund at plus 390. So a very solid price there for Fabe Zetterlund here for San Jose. All right, good stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Mikey, great stuff. You joining us on this show today. Appreciate it very much. A reminder, patreon.com/Ice Guys. Make sure you sign up. We're trying to get to 250 now. That's our next milestone of Patreon page subscribers and members. It's just $10 per month. You'll get our goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides totals, and player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And of course, we have to remind you that now's the ideal time to sign up for just $10 per month on the Patreon page, because we have our first Patreon exclusive live betcast of the season coming your way this Tuesday, January 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Looking forward to that. What I love about the Patreon exclusive live betcast, a little bit of a smaller crowd. It truly does feel like a VIP experience. It's a nice, calmer. It's not packed, and usually when you're at a bar and it's packed and everybody's allowed in, it's loud and it's rambunctious and you can't hear yourself think sometimes. That's the equivalent now of the Patreon exclusive live betcast, the opposite of that, where now it's people can talk now a little bit more. It's less of a, people trying to talk over one another, just more of a quaint, cozy vibe to it with the Patreon exclusive live betcast. So those are a lot of fun. And again, January 14th, that betcast on Tuesday, Patreon exclusive, only for members that are subscribed to the page. We have our free-for-all betcast the following Tuesday, January 21st, and then another Patreon exclusive live betcast Tuesday, January 28th. So again, a big month, 2 Patreon exclusive live betcast, which means this is the ideal time to sign up. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Today starts 5 days of free standard shipping available. Just go to the website, click on the redeem button at the top of the page, and that'll be all taken care of for you at checkout. That's 5 days free standard shipping right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Check it out. Take advantage of that free standard shipping at the Ice Guys store. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great Ice Guy sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, Bargain Bin Special of the night. 5 games to choose from here on this Friday. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for the Bargain Bin?
Yeah, let's go with the big rivalry showdown in the Motor City tonight. You got the Blackhawks taking on the Red Wings, and I am going with one of our favorites in this segment, the Trooper, Jason Dickinson. Going with him plus 550. I'm seeing at DraftKings, Caesars. 550 at Caesars, plus 500 at a couple other shops to shop around. Anytime goal scorer, Jason Dickinson, the Trooper tonight, for the Hawks skating on the second line. I think he gets a goal against the Detroit Red Wings.
There you go, the Trooper, Jason Dickinson, also the name of a great Canadian rock band from the 70s, Trooper. Just YouTube any of their music. It's really good. Jason Dickinson for Chicago, for Alex B. Smith with his Bargain Bin Special of the night. And you can find the Trooper, Jason Dickinson, as high as plus 550 for him to score a goal here tonight. Mikey, what do you got for us for your Bargain Bin Special?
Going with Sharks center Mikael Granlund, 2 points at plus 400. He's centering the top line and power play 1. Leads the team with 35 points. He had 4 points against Utah in 2 games this season. He is pointless in 2 straight games. However, only once this season did he not record a point after going pointless in 2 straight. So Mikael Granlund, 2 points plus 400.
All right, I like that one. Michael Granlund, San Jose, over 1.5 points plus 400. For Mikey with his Bargain Bin Special of the night. My Bargain Bin Special of the night, I'm going also, as like Alex, to the Chicago-Detroit game. I'm going to go with Mr. Bertuzzi, the man they call Bert, Tyler Bertuzzi, plus 320 at Bet365. Shop around. There's some books that have it below the threshold, but I'm seeing 310, 325 still out there, 310 at BetMGM. Make sure you shop around. I think it's really good. He's scoring lately. He's against one of his old teams in Detroit, the Detroit Red Wings. I think he'll be fired up to find the back of the net. It's a really good one, in my opinion. Plus 310, Tyler Bertuzzi for the Chicago Blackhawks for my Bargain Bin Special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Well, same game, Chicago-Detroit. Obviously, we're rocking with that hot trend. It's like it's 2019 all over again. The Hawks, 8 in a row to the first period over, 10-1 their last 11. They said Detroit has gone 7-3 to the first period over in their last 10, 10-1 to the goal in the first 10 minutes. So give me that first period over, minus $1.25, available at Caesars with the Hawks and Wings. That's my Friday best bet.
There you go. I like it too. Chicago-Detroit over 1.5 first period. for Alex B. Smith, his best bet. Mikey, best bet.
Going with the Sharks in Utah over 6 at $1.10. I know both teams are trending under, but we have Gorgiev and net. I think there's going to be a back and forth pond hockey game. I'd be shocked if it's not 3-3 at the end of regulation.
All right, there we go. I like it. San Jose, Utah over 6. Best bet for Mikey here for this Friday card. My best bet, how about Bleu? I'm going to go for a big dog here. Bleu, Blanc, Rouge, au Canadien, au Canadien. That's one of those songs they do en français for this team. Goes back decades. Montreal for me here, plus 190 in some spots, as high as that price. I think they're very live tonight. This young kid, Jakob Dobish, has looked great. 2-0 as a starter. He's given up 1 goal in the 2 starts combined against Florida and Colorado. Damn good teams as well. Montreal plus 190 against Washington. I think they've got a real shot here against the Washington Capitals tonight. That is going to be my best bet here for this Friday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Mikey, anything you want to add before we wrap it up? Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I love coming on here and talking hockey with you guys. Hopefully see you guys soon.
No doubt. And Alex not on tomorrow, but no fear, Terry Edelman's here. He will be with us filling in for Alex tomorrow on the Saturday show at noon Eastern. So looking forward to that. And it's a huge card coming up on Saturday. Alex will be back with us on Sunday. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, for Mikey joining us as our guest, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we'll be back with you tomorrow on Saturday at noon Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.